We're in one of LA's largest backyard orchards that's just under 2 acres large. I hope this inspires you to plant another fruit tree, if not hundreds of more fruit trees, to bring the value of enjoying the deliciousness of what a backyard orchard can do for you that a grocery store will never do for you. So grocery stores specialize in delivering produce that have longevity, good long shelf life, maybe nice color, large size, but very little to do with flavor and ultimately your health. There's nothing that beats your homegrown produce and fruits that you can grow from home. And I'm hoping to share that with you all today. Together, we're going to visit a banana plantation, a citrus orchard, mangoes and papaya area, avocados, a vineyard, dragon alley, and so many other potential emerging areas, including tomatoes and other vegetables that we've also planted. And I'm going to be sharing some gardening helpful tips along the way. Let's get the tour started. Follow me. Here we go. Check this out. So we're going to enter the banana plantation now, but just check out some of these specimen trees that are here, such as the trumpet lily. What a beautiful, magnificent, ornamental plant to have in the garden. We've got some sunflower as well to attract pollinators. And with more pollinators, we can expect more fruit set. And then here we are now in the banana plantation. This is the entrance, and you can see there's some tall specimens. These are like standard type variety bananas. And then you can see over here to my left, there's some dwarf varieties too. These are not just small. There's some banana varieties that'll only grow 2 to 3 feet maximum. And let's take a look at some of the fruit set that's going on here. Follow me. So I'm 6 feet tall. You can see these bananas are hovering around maybe 3.5 feet off the ground. Here's another variety banana, more of like, I would say, semi-standard size. This is about, I don't know, 7 or 8 feet off the ground. You can see I can reach that bunch. And let me show you other varieties that grow even taller. And then just to give you guys perspective, I'm like down in a ditch where you can see that there's bananas that are about maybe 12 to 15 feet above my head. You see that huge bunch of bananas up there? So this is about as large as a banana plant will grow. Just check this out. It probably towers about 15 to 20 feet above my head. And check out those bananas that are up there. Check out how huge that bunch is over there. Those nice, thick, delicious bunch of bananas. That's probably about 20 to 30 pounds of bananas that'll be ready in the next 30 to 60 days. Well, follow me. Check out these beautiful flowers. And these are passion fruit. And check out how large and magnificent this vine is. This vine, which is covering the chain link fence, which is obviously providing security to the property, will also produce thousands of passion fruit annually. Just check all of this out. Check out this bunch of bananas that have fallen to the ground. This needs to be elevated to keep pests from damaging these bananas while they continue to ripen over the next 30 to 60 days. And then once the bunch is harvested, then these parent plants will be removed to allow their daughter plants, which are right here, sometimes referred to as the pup, will basically take the place of the parent plant that produced the last bunch of fruit. Again, once your bananas produce, that parent plant is done. It will not produce more bananas in each subsequent year. You got to allow the children, sometimes referred to as the daughters or the pups, to take the place of those parent plants, and those will continuously produce in subsequent years. So as you can see here, we've got a small daughter or pup, and this one here, a little bit larger. And this one will probably later this summer be as large as these tallest bananas and maybe even go into bloom for fruit production that will most likely happen in the subsequent year, not in the same year. So as you can see, between all of these bananas, you identify what this tall grass is over here? That's sugar cane. How fitting is it? in this beautiful banana plantation. And just check out again how magnificently tall these bananas are. And at the very top, another bunch of bananas. So behind me here is a mulberry that was producing very small, not delicious black variety mulberries. The owner wanted to integrate other varieties of mulberry onto that black mulberry. So just check out these grafts as you come in. You'll notice the grafting tape is still in here as these grafts were done about a year ago. Here's one, here's another. So you can see over here another graft. Check out all of that fruit. This one here is a white variety mulberry. If you come in a little more, here's another graft and some more fruit. And if you come around this way, you can see that sometimes grafts don't work. And that's all okay. Within this tree, they've grafted over 10 varieties of mulberry. And if you take a look over here, you can even see that even this mulberry has been grafted on a different rootstock, as this rootstock is growing significantly slower than the scion wood that's on top. So again, another demonstration of the value of what grafting is. And for those of you with limited space, grafting is a lifesaver in the sense of bringing a lot of flavors in the footprint of a single fruit tree. You can enjoy red mulberries, white mulberries, black mulberries, different sizes from different countries, all in the footprint of a single tree. Let me show you another example of grafting. Follow me. So here we are at the base of a grafted avocado. If you come in a little closer, you can see that it's in full bloom. Check out these massive blossoms all over the tree. And if you take a look carefully, you can start seeing there's some fruit set happening right here, for example. See that little baby avocado? And right next to it, there's another baby over here. And let's see if we can find, and if you take a look right here, you can see, again, there's some more fruit set right there. And from these thousands of blossoms, hopefully you're going to get hundreds of fruit. Again, most of these won't set fruit, and it's important to consider that most avocados are self-fruitful, but by making sure if this is a type A avocado that you plant a type B avocado. For example, if this were a Hass avocado, that you plant a bacon avocado or a fuerte avocado, which is a type B variety, you can increase your fruit set on these avocado trees by as much as anywhere between 5% on the low end, some research says, to as much as 30% additional fruit set, in addition to improving the flavor and size of your avocados. Happening right here, for example. See that little baby avocado? And right next to it, there's another baby over here. By basically making sure you have both a type A and a type B. Having two type A avocados will not achieve this additional value of fruit set when planting your avocados. And check this one more thing out, since we just discussed grafting on the mulberry. This is another grafted avocado. So they basically, the owner grafted a quality, proven variety that'll consistently have good fruit set, in addition to quality, delicious tasting avocados. This was grafted about 3 years ago. And just check out how beautifully that has healed over the last few years. So here we are with the bacon variety. It's a B variety avocado tree. Check out the massive size on this tree. Again, with pruning, you can keep your fruit trees in check between about 8 to 10 feet. The primary time for pruning, your massive cuts, those that are over 2 years of age, would be in late January for those of you that are in a warmer climate, such as, again, we're here in Los Angeles. So for those of you in Southern California, Texas, and Florida, if you're going to do massive pruning that's over 2 years of age, a good time to do that is that last week of January before February, and basically the trees begin growing again. So all of those wounds can quickly begin to heal over. Compared to those of you that prune in the fall or in the midwinter months, the plant and the metabolism is so slow that those wounds are going to remain open without healing over for a significant period of time, months, compared to weeks, if you strategically time those massive pruning. And then you can prune again after your fruit harvest is another time where some people call it summer pruning, but it's typically in line with harvesting your fruit, and then you can prune any excess growth that happened within that year with your summer pruning. And that's a good way to manage tree size. But without pruning, again, you can see how large a tree can grow. And check out all those bunches of flowers that are now beginning to set fruit. And look at how low some of this fruit set is happening. Here we are about maybe 3.5 to 4 feet off the ground. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost a half a dozen fruit right in this area. So you can imagine there's hundreds of fruit over me. That's a type B. Again, bacon variety avocado. To my right is the world's famous type A Hass avocado. And check out these fruit. Here we are in the first week of May, and there's still about a dozen fruit hanging on the tree. Also, it's in bloom, and again, by having type A and type B avocados, they're cross-pollinating one another, maximizing fruit set, again, increasing your fruit set by between 5 to 30%. Higher yields in addition to larger fruit set, and even improving the quality and the flavor of the fruit. Another younger avocado. Part of having a successful garden is also making sure you integrate native plants to wherever it is that you live. For those of you living in California, you may want to consider planting California poppies, lupins, and other California, I've got California fuchsia on my property, which attract more pollinators. By planting those native plants, you'll increase the amount of visiting pollinators. By planting your natives and attracting additional pollinators into your garden, you're going to maximize fruit sets on your fruit and vegetable garden as well. And over here we have Encino oak trees. And again, they too bloom and add towards supporting the natural ecology that's here in the Los Angeles area. And within these trees, you'll notice these boxes, which are basically the future homes for owls. And what owls will serve the added benefit of, as owls being predators, will prey on a lot of the damaging rodent populations that's here on the property, whether they be squirrels or mice or rats and even voles. So a beneficial idea to incorporate in your backyard orchard is attracting the predators to naturally control those pests that could be taking away your fruit yields. Here's another beautiful specimen in the orchard. Check this out. Macadamia nuts. Look at all of these fruit. Again, thousands of macadamians and such a beautiful tree. Check out those beautiful leaves here. So to my left is a star fruit tree. Check out how it's been topped at about maybe 8 to 10 feet. And it's got dozens of fruit in a canopy that's probably about 20 feet in diameter. And there's fruit hanging everywhere. Just check out all of this fruit. These are delicious star fruit. Again, growing in the Los Angeles area. And then just behind me here, mango. And you can see that there's blooms everywhere. And hopefully the camera is capturing all of the buzzing that's happening around the flowers. You should see a lot of activity with insects circling these flowers. And as you can see, with all of the circling activity of these insects, you may notice that there's a hanging animal right there in the branches. And it's actually a fish that's right there in the canopy of the tree. And throughout the canopy, there's several fish hanging and attracting flies. And what the flies are doing are they are serving as the predominant pollinator for this mango tree on the property, as flies are, again, and have proven for decades to be the primary pollinator for maximizing fruit set for mangoes compared to bees. Most of us expect bees as being the one and only pollinator for fruits. Flies are actually an important pollinator, one for mangoes and even avocados that we just toured. You'll sometimes notice a lot of flies pollinating those flowers too and helping to maximize fruit set. And if you come and check this out, you can even start seeing the little teeny tiny fruit set that's happening. And one other thing you'll notice as well is some bottles that are hanging in the canopy as well. Yeah, you got one here, you got another one down below, and another third one I can see a little bit higher up in the canopy. And all of these are basically open bottles, as you can see, for insects to smell the solution in here, which is basically a fly attractant. So what you would typically use for capturing flies has been used to basically attract them to the tree, but not catch them. So that's another scent that's attracting more pollinators, and in this circumstance, flies, to maximize the mango fruit set here on the tree. So we talked about hanging fish in your trees. We talked about using fly attractants to maximize pollination of trees that rely on flies for pollination. But check out what's going on here at the base. And again, flies all over, animal waste, kitchen scraps, and whatever else it takes to just get more flies to this tree. And again, you're rewarded with delicious mangoes, some of the largest mangoes I've ever seen in my life, hanging off of this tree. And hopefully we'll get to do another tour later this year, just showing how beautiful this tree and the fruit set is year after year. So over here are some papayas. Check this out over here. Beautiful papayas, probably about a dozen of fruit right within reach. But then just keep going up. Check out all of those papayas, right? They're like days away from enjoying delicious ripe papaya, homegrown. So as you come through, on both sides of me are some kiwi. And over here, most of you that are familiar with kiwi will notice that these leaves don't look like kiwi leaves. We're growing varieties of yellow and pink kiwis, and then the classic green ones that most of you are familiar with are over here. And remember, for those of you that plant kiwi, you got to make sure that you plant a male and a female vine in order to create cross-pollination for fruit set. If you just plant a male kiwi or a female kiwi vine, you will not enjoy fruits. So you'll also notice there's a ton of color here in the garden. This is bringing a lot of pollinators into the garden. I don't know if you can see here where my hands are. There's a couple of bees, but they're not just pollinating the flowers. They're also going to pollinate the grapes. We've got a variety of grapes from green to black to red, and you name it. And just behind the grapes, if you go up a little further, you can see there's a persimmon tree, and that's also loaded with flowers and fruit set right now. And as we continue through, just check out this vineyard and the way that these grapes are managed on these stakes and trellis system to basically control and maximize light and air penetration, which will optimize the health of the plant, but not just the plant, but also the fruits and the quality of fruits, compared to when the plants are not managed and basically, exposed for maximum light and air penetration. You're risking the quality of fruit and ultimately the health of your plants. And let's just finish this tour. Follow me. So here we are now on the complete opposite end of the property from where we were in the banana plantation. And maybe you guys recognize these flowers. And again, more passion fruit. And you can see there's pretty much every leaf pushes out another flower. Check this out. I just want to demonstrate. These vines will let go of one another. So we got flower, 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 flower. Notice that every leaf right within its node has another flower. And again, this is a healthy, very healthy passion fruit vine. And you can see down below, this is what the fruit's going to look like. And we're going to expect thousands of passion fruit on this privacy fence. It's simply a chain link fence that's supporting all of this vine. And look at it again, the privacy that it's offering and delicious quality fruit. So here we are in the canopy of a persimmon tree, and just check out the flowers you can see here with the white flower. And then within a matter of days, you get the fruit set. Check that out. And again, hundreds, if not thousands of fruit in this canopy. Look how large it is. It's about 20 feet, 15 to 20 feet wide canopy and about another 10 to 15 feet tall. But a beautiful persimmon tree. Over here, another mulberry tree. Just check out the fruit set. And notice, we're just a couple of feet off the ground and you've got dozens of fruit and actually thousands of fruit if you calculate the massive size of this tree. Mulberries are a pretty easy, fast-growing addition you can have in the backyard orchard. They're basically berries that you get to enjoy tree form. So over here is a pomegranate tree, just starting to go into bloom. And you can check out those beautiful flowers. They range usually in color from orange to red. So welcome to the grape arbor. Check this out. When you come in, there's grapes that are planted on both sides and trained to climb the walls. And then there's hundreds of fruit up in the ceiling. Starting here, you can see the cluster of grapes and another cluster of grapes. But check out the ceiling. There's grapes everywhere. And within the next 30 to 60 days, there's going to be grapes hanging off of the ceiling. All of the leaves on the top are the solar panels that are basically empowering and bringing the sugars and the nutrition into the grapes that are protected in the shade of this arbor. And just check out how beautiful. And even here in the walls, you guys see all of the grapes? There's hundreds of grapes per like 3 square feet throughout this entire arbor. There's grapes everywhere. And all of these grapes are individually different varieties that are improving cross-pollination, maximizing fruit set, which again also improves size, quality, and flavor. As we come through here, this here is the Feijoa variety of guava. And look at how pretty these flowers are. What a nice addition to the backyard garden. The leaves are a pale green. The flowers are pink with a red stamens. And again, just a beautiful, kind of ornamental looking, but obviously a fruiting variety, guava, that produces delicious tasting pineapple flavor guavas. And then to my right over here is a date palm. In fact, it's a fruiting variety date palm. As you can see, the flowers have been protected and wrapped in papers to keep the birds from pecking the young flowers. And again, this is facilitating the owners maximizing the date harvest from his date palm tree. So as you can still see behind me, date palm tree, you can see the grape arbor to my right, and over here a beautiful hedge of roses. This one over here is so eye-catching. Just check out the variegation on these petals between the red and the white and the pinks. How pretty is that? And in between all of these roses, you'll notice that there's also these berries. This one over here is a raspberry. And as you continue forward, pretty much every few feet, there's more berries between the rose bushes. I'm hoping you can capture all of these berry bushes, and they're all going to be trained, as you can see on this green wire. Again, we're between the rose bushes, trained wire for the berry vines, and then just behind that, again, we're now at the very top of the grape arbor lattice system, and you can see that there's lots of grapes between all of those leaves, and hopefully you can capture that as well. As we come through here, again, enjoy all the beautiful colors. The one thing you don't get to enjoy is the fragrance. It smells amazing. All of these roses, it's a beautiful garden. You're surrounded with food. And now we're approaching the blueberry garden, starting over here. These are all giant blueberry bushes. And as you come over here, these younger ones are actually more productive. And this is a common thing for blueberries when they're younger, and actually just fruit trees in general. There's usually a life where they're more productive in their initial years, and then eventually production slows down. And you may be asking what's going on with all these nettings that are surrounding these blueberries. As you can see, there's some nets that are in place. And this is a temporary structure. It'll be here for a few weeks, simply to keep the birds from taking all of the food, so that hopefully the owner and I get to enjoy a lot more deliciousness. And again, just more blueberries. This one over here is a white variety blueberry known as lemonade. How cool is that? Behind me here is a dragon fruit that's attached itself to these Italian cypress trees. So within the next 30 days, this will go into bloom. And then from the time of bloom, typically within about 45 to 90 days, each one of those blooms will become a fruit. And there's typically about 3 to 4 cycles of these bloom and fruit sets throughout each year. So it's not just like, oh, my plant went into bloom, and if those flowers fall, you lost your set for the year. You actually get 3 to 4 chances for fruit set with dragon fruit. So one of the last things I want to share with you is the citrus alley. And citrus are notorious for usually ripening in the winter months, but you're still going to see there's quite a few fruit that are still fruiting now. And this is actually the value of basically successive ripening, planting different varieties of citrus that ripen at different times of the year. So you can always come to the backyard and pick something fresh. Again, with citrus being ripe in the winter, that's usually pretty unique compared to your peaches and your apples that you're going to be picking like in the spring and summer months. This is something that usually offers winter harvest with mandarin oranges. If you come through a little bit here, you can see to my right over here is the Cara orange, and to my left are some beautiful colors known as yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So over here is the Rio red grapefruit. I don't know if you can see these huge, beautiful grapefruit right back here. And then to my right over here is the Cara pink orange. And yes, this is not a citrus. This here is a guava, and you can see this one here is a white variety of guava. And over here are another variety of grapefruit. I think these are the cocktail grapefruits. And as we come through, over here is the Valencia orange. These are famous for juicing oranges. And again, just because they're loaded with juice, very high sugar content. And you can see, obviously, we got ripe fruit, and then you've got your new fruit set as well. If you take a look over here, you can see there's almost about another half dozen baby oranges. And this will be the next set of Valencia oranges. So over here is a tangerine, the mandarin orange. As we continue through over here, you can see there's another guava tree, a tangelo. To my right is a blood orange. And again, this is also starting to set fruit. You can see a couple of fruit over here and about another 4 or 5 more fruit over there. You can see over here about another half a dozen fruit set. And just behind it here, and this here is a pomelo. As you can see, we got ripe fruit, and then we've also got the next year's fruit set as well. And this here is basically another variety of grapefruit. And as we continue forward here, so this here to my left is like the cuties mandarin oranges. And as you can see, this here is another grafted tree. I'll show you in a minute, but check out all the fruit set again. You can see again, there's, I'd say at least 50 fruit on this tree that was grafted several years ago. This here is the grafting wound. And we're going to discuss the importance of whitewashing and fertilizing in just a minute here. So this citrus on my right, check this out with the super teeny tiny leaves and all of these fruit that look like fingers are known as finger limes. It's a native to Australia, and when you open it here, it basically has all of these sacs of, basically it's like a citrus caviar. You squeeze it and all of these like fish eggs are coming out, and check this out. They're crunchy, lime flavored sacks of citrus that go beautifully well on your fish dishes. You can add it to your guacamole, your tacos, and so much more. This is actually one of my family favorite citrus trees. And if you're into citrus or want to try something new, this is an excellent addition to the garden. So fun to grow, so easy to grow, as citrus are drought tolerant plants. Once you get them established, that first year or two, they require minimal water and they give you so much deliciousness. And this is something you're probably never going to find at the grocery store. Let's continue. Here's another finger lime, just a different style. There's more of a tree form. The one in front of me is more of a bush, a guava tree. To my left over here is the Tangelo variety citrus, and to my right is another mandarin orange. And you can see this is another variety with little fruit. But again, delicious flavor you'll never find at your stores. So all of these different varieties of citrus, all of them cross-pollinating one another, maximizing fruit set, size, quality, and ultimately deliciousness. So a couple of fun facts, and I can tell you that over 90% of gardeners and even experts that work at garden centers for the last decade or more, I'm telling you that 90, if not high 90 percentile, do not know the answers to these next couple of questions I'm going to ask all of you. And even though I've been teaching this here on the Ivory Organics YouTube channel for about a decade now, I still see a lot of people missing the answers to these questions. And I'm hoping you guys will eventually share this knowledge with your gardening communities as well. And the first question to you guys is, what is the #1 most important month of the year to feed your plants? And the #1 answer I get is usually February, March, or April. And then some people jump into the fall. They say August and September, when the right answer is May. May is the #1 month of the year for fertilizing your plants organically to make sure that those organic compounds break down with the soil biology, soil biology being your earthworms, your beneficial bacteria, and your mycorrhizal network. Those are going to break down the organic compounds, returning all of these macronutrients into the soil. These are elements the plants need in abundance, and a lot of the micronutrient nutrition as well for your plants' optimal performance during the most active metabolic periods of the year. Here we are in May. We want to make sure that they're well fed, or products are broken down into the soil, and begin feeding the plants during, again, the maximum light hours of the year is that first day of summer. So June is right around the corner. You feed in May so those elements break down and offer that nutrition to your plants come June. And what we're going to do is feed them with the Ivory Organics all-purpose fertilizers. There's the Super Blend, which has a higher NPK, which is your nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and also has plus azomite, which is crushed volcanic rock, to give your plants a lot of the micronutrient nutrition as well. And what the Ivory Organic, both the Super and the premium blend fertilizers will offer your plants is it will give your plants all, and this is the second question that everyone gets wrong. Again, in the high 90 percentile, everybody thinks NPK is all my plants need. Nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But they also need magnesium, which is the heart of the chlorophyll molecule. They need calcium, which is in about 30% of the dry weight of the plants in the cell walls. And also they need sulfur, which is important for the greening and enzymatic processes within the plants. NPK, MG, Ca are the 6 macronutrients that need to be in the soil in abundance in order for optimal plant health performance, and especially during the highest metabolic periods of the year. So let me share this quick chart that maybe visually will help you out as well. So on this side over here, I have the fertilizer column, which basically is the amount of fertilizer you're supposed to apply at any given time during the year. And during the year, I've got marked at the bottom with winter, spring, summer, fall, and then going back to winter. As you can see, the most important time for feeding your plants is going to be May, because you're going to want to make sure that the plants have all of the nutrition necessary during the highest metabolic times of the year. In the winter, while the plants are dormant, even your citrus, obviously, they're fruiting. Your camellia plants are blooming. Even though they may look active metabolically, it's their weakest and slowest time of the year, as the light hours are shorter, the temperatures are cooler, and the plant's metabolism is naturally slower. That's why for your plants such as your tropicals, whether they be citrus or avocados or mangoes or passion fruit and all those things that we saw, you can still fertilize them in the winter, typically with a foliar feeding. As again, since the soil is cooler, the absorption from the root level is poor compared to the absorption that happens at the foliar level. So you may foliar feed in the winter, but again, the amount of fertilizer you're offering your plants is the lowest of the year. Come spring, for us in Southern California, such as Los Angeles, fertilizing can begin as early as February and March, and at which time you're only going to offer your plants about 50% of the recommended amount of fertilizer. By summer and May, again being pre-summer, the #1 time for offering your plants fertilizer. Most people skip it when this is the most important time of the year. And then by fall, usually for us again in Southern California, by August and even September, for those of you in cooler climates where it snows, you may want to mark August as the time that you feed your plants about 50% the recommended amount. These are marked, indicated by the number 2s, being the second most important time for feeding your plants. So early spring and early fall. And then by winter, for your tropical plants, you can offer them some foliar feeding nutrition only. For your dormant plants, such as your peaches and apples and so forth, you wouldn't even think twice about feeding your plants, again, because they are that dormant. And again, this here is another kiwi vine. And you can see how beautiful the leaves are. There's 2 males and 1 female. And just check out these little teeny tiny blooms. They haven't yet quite opened, but you can see there's going to be a lot of fruit, as this always produces every single year. So I hope you've enjoyed this backyard orchard tour as much as I did. As you can see, there is so much beauty in gardening. It can be as beautiful as having a rose garden to enjoying and picking your own fruits and vegetables. And I hope this lesson inspires you to do the same. If you have enjoyed it, be sure to give me that thumbs up. Share us with your gardening friends and family. And if you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe so you stay connected to all of these educational lessons as soon as they become made available. And as always, keep growing with Ivory Organics, and wishing you all happy gardening.